Hello, everybody. This is Rich again. Just wanting to chime in and let you know the beginning of this episode is a piece of a sermon from Jim Jones, where he's like answering audience questions, and the question that was posed to him is, "What really causes more separation? Is it race, religion, or class?" And Jim Jones basically responds with. Well, you'll hear his response. You'll hear his response. Hell, I ain't gonna sit here and spoil it for you. I figured it was important to put it at the beginning of this episode instead of at the end, like I did on the last one, because this one gives context to the whole episode that we're about to talk about. It really shapes his belief. It shows the shape of his ideals, and what he wants to do, and also why. He was so effective at gaining followers during the time that he was. So, this episode contains talks of suicide, religious, ritual abuse, sexual abuse, and I believe some drug use. If not, well, there's going to be drugs involved. So, after that, I guess that's about all I got for you, and enjoy the episode.
So indeed, if we did share, and what was your question? What separates us? Class? What is the most important thing, you said, that separates us? Race, religion, or class? And all separation comes from class. If you got money equalized, and there was no real rich and no real poor, you'd have no racism. You'd have no religion. Because people only make heavens because this is so much of hell they can't stand to look at this place. So they project a heaven out there that they got to go to because they can't stand the earth. Because the earth is in the hands of the robber baron rich. It's in the hands of the capitalists, and they're poor. So they create a religious song. There was no heaven like they sung about, but poor black people in the fields, they had to sing, "You got shoes, I got shoes," because they were going barefooted, and the terrible rocks and the thorns were penetrating their feet, and they had to develop something that would give them hope. They knew they'd never get any shoes off of the white master, the rich owner. They'd never get it, so they developed a religion that said, "By and by, you got shoes, I got shoes, all God's children got shoes." It's a pitiful song. It comes out of the people that are poor down to the very bottoms of the earth. And that's why they develop religion. Religion would never be developed but because the rich have made life so miserable for the poor. Rich people don't develop religion. Rich people will foster religion, but you don't see Rockefeller in no church. You don't see Carnegie in any church. He gives money to preachers, but he don't go to church. No, religion is that which is the way the rich have to manipulate the poor. You understand what I'm saying? Heaven was created by poor people that were working cotton fields and working in mines and living in hell, so they had to create a golden city somewhere. They had to dream because they knew they'd never get anything out of this earth. So religion is a direct creation of those who are oppressed, those who are in bondage. Now that was the most important message of tonight, and a lot of you didn't get it. Thank you, brother.
So, what did you think?
Yeah.
Yeah?
What is this? Theatric? Again, he's a theatrical person. Yeah.
Right. He uses that a little bit, but I mean, ultimately, it was more.
He was talking in circles.
Yeah, it was circular, but he was trying to push a point home. Yeah. He kept coming back to that point.
Yeah.
I agree with him, honestly. You know,
it was a good point.
And I think that was important for starting this episode of
Charlie Manson's Fanny Pack.
Episode 2 of Jim Jones.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about him starting the church, and I wanted that there at the beginning because I think it's important to keep in mind that while he has this church and he's doing all these faith healings and stuff, ultimately he doesn't believe any of it. He's giving them something that they want. You know, people want these things. And he basically is using it as a way to show that you don't need Jesus, you don't need anything. All you need is me and socialism.
Because we can do it. We got this. With a little bit of manipulation and a can-do attitude, you too can do this.
What's gonna work?
Socialism! Social work.
All right, so back to Jim Jones. When we left off, Jones was had come to the decision that the best way for him to preach his Marxism was to infiltrate the church. What is going on over there? You know, we're over here trying to have an academic discussion.
Continue on.
Do continue. But okay. And we're just admiring the animals.
God, if I can't keep the people listening in the room listening, then what are the people out on the internet going to do?
They'll probably listen better.
Yeah.
Well,
Because they're most likely not around people.
They're probably, driving to work or driving home from work on a run.
Doing something.
Having light behind their eyes, unlike Loki.
Having thoughts in general.
Yup.
Not trying to set their daughter's lighter on fire.
I would. That's ridiculous.
That would be an explosion.
So what was Jim Jones doing, Storm? Where are we in the story, Miss? I'm paying attention to the animals.
Oh no.
There you go.
Early religious influences.
You're just reading things on the screen.
I was eating food. Yeah, I was eating. So
I have the attention span of a goldfish. I'll remember in an hour, but not right this very second, just because you asked.
Okay, so tell me what you know so far about Jim Jones. We'll use this as a recap.
So far, I've learned, whatever you want to call it. But nothing happened.
we have
There
been
you go.
introduced to.
He was odd as a kid. Not odd, but odd. You could say odd, right?
Odd's fair.
Odd
is fair.
Yeah, he was kind of like a village child. When he got older, he just got kind of weirder.
Why?
Young man. God, the gays.
But,
The gays and the days.
As he got older, the weirdness just kind of kept. It just got worse. Walked around, tux. Kind of the person no one really wants to hang around.
Right, you're right.
No one wants to.
You're never picking him for your baseball team.
Exactly.
Right?
You're never picking him for anything.
Yeah, he didn't get invited to the sock hop dance.
He didn't get invited to anything.
But he was probably like the teacher's
That was
pet.
oh, definitely.
Yeah. He was definitely a teacher's pet
yeah.
when he wasn't raising hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he was in a lot of trouble all the time.
Yeah.
But
he somehow got married to a person.
Right.
I can't remember her name.
Marceline.
Somehow got married.
Mother Jones. That's her title.
I don't care.
That is her literal title.
Yeah, it is.
He was father and she was mother.
No, thank you.
Because he had something about like that relationship.
Yeah.
Like, there was something about it.
He converted her from, what was it?
She was a Methodist.
Methodist to somehow being an atheist.
Yeah,
I don't know how he did it.
Well, because when they first got together, she thought he was religious. And I can understand
I would
why.
understand it too.
Right?
I would make that assumption.
Put on that air.
It would be like, a guy with a Bible and a suit who's always talking to you about the evils of sin and dancing.
And trying to encourage you to read the Bible in your free time.
Remember when you go to the dance, keep a Bible's distance between you and the girl you're dancing with. Leave room for the Holy Spirit.
That sounds like something he would say.
It is something that, like...
You guys better be leaving room for the Holy Spirit between you at them dances.
Like,
he totally said it at least once in his life. He had to have.
Or it was told to him, or maybe it wasn't told to him because, like, he's such a religious boy.
Yeah, he actually was had like his really good memory for the Bible. Mm-hmm. He was able to quote like entire chapters of the Bible at a time. He memorized the whole thing.
Did he get trophies for Bible study?
Well, if it were not the Depression, then he probably would have. A trophy during the Depression is like the non-dirty piece of bread.
Here's why I said what I said. I was part of Awana.
Me too. I was an Awana kid.
Yay!
What? Were you in the vacation Bible schools too?
Yeah, I was.
What? Word?
I went.
You went to vacation Bible school.
I did.
I went all the way through vacation Bible school. I became someone who, like, did one of the rooms. I was like one of the little counselor people. Oh yeah, I did the whole 9 yards. But with Awana, oh man, boy howdy, did my church take it seriously.
We did too.
Awana games, did you guys do that shit too?
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah,
it was like fucking training for that shit for no reason.
Yeah.
And then like there were maybe six people in like my whole youth group at the time that it was like expected for them to like do the whole, like, was it like 3 paragraphs that they would have to like memorize?
Oh yeah, that's lower level shit.
It was just I mean, like, that's basically what the like Awana tournaments were. Just like reciting those specific verses. And when I was really good at it. I remember going.
Not as good as Jim Jones, but damn near.
Oh no. But like I remember going.
You're having a psychopath.
Yeah. So we're pretty well caught up. He's a weird kid who likes Hitler and charismatic things. He's been doing a bunch of he goes to hobby churches. Yeah. Basically, he collects religion. He collects the gold stars. I mean, I'm kind of the same. I collect religion.
Yeah.
I don't believe any of it.
Yeah.
But I like some.
Some are pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, some more than others.
Some more so than others. Yeah, and it's like he definitely had a knack for it. More, like I said, it was something he was definitely destined to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was in his genetics.
Well, not necessarily that, but that being raised in that communal perspective with people, you know, being like, well, if you're obviously your parents aren't taking care of you. Well, if you're gonna be with me, you're coming to church with me, kid. So just kind of that introduction in finding where he could put that energy. No, never mind. I'm good.
So and get this now. Remember, he has just convinced his wife to not be a Methodist anymore.
And to be an atheist, yes.
In early 1952, Jones announces to his wife and her family that he would become a Methodist minister, believing the church was ready to put real socialism into practice.
That's gotta fuck with him.
She's fucking staring at the ceiling at night. She got herself into.
I think this is my favorite Jim Jones thing. It's like, you just got Jonesed, baby. I think that is my favorite thing.
I did this for you. For you.
Jones was surprised when a Methodist district superintendent helped him get a start in the church, even though he knew Jones to be a communist. And another thing about communism is one of the quotes from Karl Marx, the kind of the philosophizing founder of communism, is quoted as saying, "Dethrone God, destroy capitalism." So, I mean, communism kind of goes hand in hand with getting rid of religion. So it's kind of weird that Jones, you know, got put in there even though the guy knew Jones was a communist. It's unusual. But I guess he saw potential in them, you know.
Look at all of these souls that he could win for the Lord.
Yeah. His midichlorian count was super high. And they figured one day he could be a Jedi. And
I mean, he did.
Qui-Gon in him sensed much fear. But Obi-Wan was like, no.
But I mean, like, this is going to be dark, but I mean...
Qui-Gon Jim Jones.
Oh, no. This is going to be a little dark, but I mean, like... The younglings had no choice.
Even he's grumbling about it.
Yeah, even Cthulhu grumbled at that one.
I mean, but I'm not wrong.
In the summer of 52, he was hired as a student pastor to the children at Somerset Southside Methodist.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of S's.
Try saying that.
Somerset Southside Methodist. Somerset Southside Methodist. Somerset Southside Methodist.
Say it 9 more times without having a stroke.
Look, I'd have to keep up with the counting. Where he launched a project to create a playground that would be open to children of all races. And yeah, at the time, this is a huge fucking deal.
Yeah.
Right? You know, the closest thing today would be... You know, I can't think of anything today. I was going to say maybe like the trans rights things, like if they suddenly set up a trans thing across the street from the church that Sheila goes to. You follow?
Yeah, it'd be hilarious.
It would be hilarious.
I would love
it would be like a
that.
Unitarian church, like setting up across from a really
Church of Satan.
Who follows me on Twitter?
Yay!
They follow all of the people, I think, on Twitter. I don't know.
Well, that's just because they want to harvest your adrenochrome.
Yeah. Did you know that? Those are facts.
Those are absolute facts that I learned from Alex Jones.
My arms are too
No relation to Jim Jones, I think.
There's no confirmed relation.
Is Jim Jones the illegitimate father of Alex Jones? God, I hope not. But yeah, him creating a playground that was integrated, that was something unheard of at the time. And like I said, this is a place that's like practically run by the Klan.
Awesome,
So
awesome.
it was super against the grain. It was super progressive. You know, one more point in the good column for J. Daddy Jones.
That's gonna start giving me nightmares. Instead of Santa Claus, you're just gonna start sending me gifts or gifs or whatever the hell they're called of Jim Jones in the middle of the night, telling me he can't hurt me. Like you fucking do with the Daddy Claus thing. Also, how did you find a gif of a muscular Santa? How did you do it? I'm not joking.
Cosplayers.
I'm not joking. Well, it was like 10 o'clock at night. I get a message from you and I click on it.
It's Daddy Claus.
It's just Daddy Claus that says, "Don't worry, he can't hurt you."
Daddy Claus isn't really can't hurt you.
No.
I had nightmares.
Any who's
See, it's important that you do this, that you inoculate your children from meme attacks.
You're like, it's okay. My dad said this to me. This is normal. This is fine. This is fine.
Jones continued to visit and speak at Pentecostal churches, which are mainly like the black churches, right?
Yeah. Faith healing.
Yeah, he liked those more than anything else. He really liked the energy of the black churches. He continued to visit and speak at Pentecostal churches while serving as a Methodist student pastor. In 1954, he was dismissed from his position in the Methodist Church, supposedly for stealing church funds, though later he claimed he left the church because its leaders forbade him from integrating blacks into his congregation. I don't see why both can't be true.
I think they both are.
Yeah.
It would be very plausible.
Yeah, I don't see why both can't be true. Believing that the racially integrated and rapidly growing latter rain movement offered him a greater opportunity to be a preacher, Jones successfully convinced his wife,
oh God, this poor woman,
poor Marceline, to leave the Methodist Church and join the Pentecostals.
She lays awake at night staring at the ceiling, like,
what is reality? What do I believe?
Why am I alive?
There is only Zool.
There is only Jim. Jim knows. Where he, oh, Jesus.
So lost now.
I got lost for a second.
It's okay, Jim will find you.
Yeah, so the Latter Rain movement was a Pentecostal movement, called the Independent Assemblies of God.
That's a name.
Yep.
Well, you see them around in the Assembly of God churches. They're the same thing. There's faith healings and whatnot. He went to one convention for the Latter Rain movement in Columbus, Indiana, where a woman prophesied that Jones was a prophet with a great ministry. He was surprised by the endorsement, but gladly accepted the call to preach and rose to the podium to deliver a message to the crowd. I've actually heard a recording of this.
All right.
I'm going to try and find it and throw it in here. But yeah, I've actually heard a recording of this. It was a fucking good story. I mean, he stuck to Christianity. He didn't really go into a socialism, but he
knew his audience.
He did well. It was, you couldn't tell, you wouldn't know it was a white guy up there. But because that church movement was racially integrated and growing, it offered him a great opportunity to be a preacher. He convinced Marshall to leave the Methodists and join the Pentecostals. In 1953, he began attending and preaching at the Laurel Street Tabernacle in Indianapolis, the Assembly of God Church in Indianapolis.
Wow.
Jones held revivals there until 1955, and began to travel and speak at other churches in the Latter Rain movement. He was a guest speaker at the 1953 convention in Detroit. So, like, he's... Ow. Do you know what revival churches are, Storm?
No, off the top of my head.
Alright, so starting in... Oh, God.
What are you going through?
My back hurts.
My neck.
My back.
My anxiety attacks.
What was I saying?
I don't know.
Your back.
My back. My Jim Jones moved into my...
I found it.
He moved to my back, and he began preaching there. With his...
The Lord to make you feel his back.
With his increasingly confused wife.
Yep.
So yeah, the revival churches. That's what I was going
There we
about.
go.
All right, so now you go to a church and there's like a building and a preacher and there's like a musician and like basically there's a church building, right?
Yeah.
A revival, you take away that building and that pastor and that congregation goes to other churches or sometimes builds tents and goes around.
All right.
They go to other churches and
That are dying.
yeah, and it like helps bring people into the churches, and they'll travel around all over the place, going to different churches, different guest pastors. It becomes kind of like a circus act, really.
All right.
But
Little Gideon.
it is like Little Gideon.
Oh my God.
Will Gideon is a
His tent of telepathy.
Yeah, his tent of telepathy is a church revival tent.
Yeah.
That you've now seen, yeah. Will Gideon from
Gravity
Falls.
You need a great example.
That's yeah.
It's like, well, I'll be friends. But, oh God, I love old Gideon. I love his story.
The Assembly of God in 55, because of pushback, started to try and distance itself from the Latter Rain movement. They assigned a new pastor to the tabernacle who enforced their denominational ban on the healing revivals. This led Jones to leave and establish Wings of Healing, a new church that would later be renamed People's Temple.
That sounds like a Red Cross thing.
Wings of Healing?
Yeah. Like...
It sounds like a Sarah McLachlan song.
Yeah.
I expect it to be on like a PETA commercial.
Oh, Lord.
I lost my train of
Wings
thought.
of Healing.
Wings of Healing.
How can you read that?
I don't know.
What do you mean?
All the words.
Yeah.
Oh God! What just happened? I don't like that at all.
What are you doing?
I'm wondering why you haven't made it bigger.
I don't know how.
Oh.
Control. Zoom. There you go.
Well,
You never knew that?
no.
Oh. I'm so happy I taught you a new hotkey today.
Yay!
I did something.
Now I have to. Everything looks different now.
Keep scrolling. Keep going. do. You're in the right vicinity.
Wings of Healing. Jones's new church attracted only 20 members who come with him from the tabernacle and was not able to financially support his vision. Storm, do you feel like poor people deserve the same amount of basic necessities as rich people?
Yes.
Do you think religion is unnecessary?
Yeah.
Would you like a pet spider monkey?
What? No.
Come on now. Look. Maybe you need to see a spider monkey.
They're so cute.
I know they're. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Are you sure you don't want a spider monkey?
I'm positive. Looks like it'd kill me.
Well, Jim Jones would sell you a spider monkey for a one-time fee of $25.
Of course he would.
He went door to door with a car full. I'm not shitting you. With a car full of fucking spider monkeys.
Well, if it's only $25, then sure. I thought we meant like full price.
Yeah, that's why I was able to find a picture of Jim Jones covered in spider monkeys. Look at this cool little art piece here. Jim Jones with a bunch of spider monkeys and nooses.
Yep.
Look. Ooh, there's no monkeys there. Unless somebody was racist.
Oh, jeez.
Look, that's not a spider monkey. Look at that.
Didn't he have a monkey?
Yeah, you're talking about Mr.
It starts with an M.
Mr. Muggs.
Thank you.
Yep, Mr. Muggs.
I was like,
Look, oh, that would be cool as fuck.
That's actually a really cool tattoo.
I like that.
Save image as whatever.
Just keep you in my back.
Hell yes. That might become the new desktop background. All right. So, enough fawning over Jim Jones fan art. Jim Jones went around selling monkeys to raise funds for his church. He saw need for publicity and began seeking a way to popularize his ministry and recruit members. It worked.
Clearly.
It worked.
Yeah.
So he was ordained in 1956 by the Independent Assemblies of God. He was ordained as a minister by Joseph Mattinson Bowes, a leader in the Latter Rain movement and the IAOG. Jones quickly quickly rose to prominence in the group and organized a healing convention to take place in June 11th through the 15th in 1956 at Indianapolis's Cato Tabernacle. Because you were further away.
I was across the table.
Needing a well-known figure to draw crowds, he arranged to share the pulpit again with Brahman. Branham.
Who?
Branham. William Branham. This guy.
Okay.
He was an early healing evangelist, a Pentecostal leader in the global healing revival churches. He was kind of like someone that was alongside Jones at this time, but he got an earlier start. Branham was known to tell attendees their name, address, and why they came for prayer before pronouncing them healed.
No, thank you.
Jones was intrigued by Branham's methods and began performing the same feats. Jones and Branham's meetings were successful and attracted an audience of 11,000 at their first joint campaign. At the convention, Branham issued a prophetic endorsement of Jones and his ministry, saying that God had used the convention to send forth a great new ministry. Many attendees believed Jones indicated he possessed a supernatural gift, and coupled with Branham's endorsement, led rapidly to the growth of the People's Temple. Jones was particularly effective at recruitment among the African American attendees at the conventions, mostly because he was preaching a lot about segregation.
Yeah.
According to a newspaper report, regular attendance at People's Temple swelled to 1,000, thanks to the publicity Branham provided to Jones in the People's Temple. Following the convention, Jones renamed the church the People's Temple Christian Church Full Gospel. It sounds like an anime episode title, right?
It does.
Like,
People's Temple Full Power Attack Now, all people.
yeah.
Oh, by the way, R.I.P. Akira Toriyama.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was super bummed yesterday when I found out that he had been dead for nearly a week.
It's, God, my childhood.
Right?
Literally.
For those of you not in the know, Akira Toriyama was the creator of Dragon Ball.
Yeah. There's not going to be any more.
There's not going to be any more Dragon Ball that I'll trust.
We've watched everything.
Yeah.
Well, I guess gotta start over.
No. The horror.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
A fun fact about Akira Toriyama, he did not lead 909 people to their deaths in the Guyana jungle.
No, but he's probably led millions to happiness.
Yeah. That neck growth, though.
Oh, no. God, Vegeta and Trunks. Ooh-wee.
Following the convention, he renamed it the People's Temple Christian Church Full Gospel All Power Attack Now.
I'll never unhear it.
To associate it with Full Gospel Pentecostalism. The name was later reshortened to the People's Temple. Jones participated in a series of multi-state revival campaigns with Branham in the second half of the 1950s. Jones claimed to be a follower and promoter of Branham's message during the period. People's Temple hosted a second International Pentecostal Convention in 1957, which was again headlined by Branham. Through the conventions with support of Branham and Matson Bowes, Jones secured connections throughout the Latter Rain movement. He adopted one of their doctrines, which he continued to promote for the rest of his life, called the Manifested Sons of God.
That doesn't sound strange.
Yeah, not at all.
It was the belief that individuals could become manifestations of God with supernatural gifts and superhuman abilities.
Yep, not weird at all.
They believed that such a manifestation signaled the second coming of Christ, and that the people endowed with these special gifts would usher in a millennial age of heaven on earth. Jones was fascinated with this idea and adapted it to promote his own utopian ideas, and eventually the idea that he himself was a manifestation of God. By the late 1960s, Jones came to teach that he was a manifestation of Christ the Revolution. He actually would later become...
Broly?
His idea was more along the lines of like Jesus and whatnot was socialism, and capitalism was the Antichrist. So he later adopted it in that sense, but he also did really believe himself. Wanted his people at least to believe that he was a manifestation of God. That's why he performed all these miracles. He would claim that nobody in his temple had ever died. Which actually tracks until they all died. But there was no death in the temple until they all did.
Yeah.
They were saving it.
Thank you, madam.
Branham was a major influence on Jones with methods, doctrines, and style. There would be another big one later. Father Divine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to get to Father Divine in a minute. Father Divine was the second half of this soup.
He sounds like a type of guy that likes kids too much.
God, you ain't wrong.
Yeah.
Like Branham, Jones would later claim to be a return of Elijah the prophet, the voice of God, a manifestation of Christ, and promote the belief that the end of the world was imminent. Jones actually would later make like specific claims, like nuclear war. There was going to be a nuclear blast hitting Chicago on such and such date.
Okay.
It didn't happen. Jones learned most of his successful recruitment tactics from Branham. He eventually separated from the latter rain following a fallout with Branham in which Jones prophesied Branham's death. Their disagreement was possibly related to Branham's racial teachings or Branham's increasingly vocal opposition to communism.
Yeah. Well, you say, well, you don't like what I like. Figure it out.
Yeah. Open a new tab. All right. Throughout the latter rain movement, Jones became aware of Father Divine, also known as Jealous Divine. Father Jealous Divine.
That's
where was
name.
it?
Yep.
The Messenger. Reverend M.J. Divine. Major Jealous Divine. Yeah, that's it. And also known as the Messenger early in life. He founded the International Peace Mission movement, formed its doctrine, and oversaw its growth from a small and predominantly black congregation into a multi-racial and international church. Due to his ideology, many consider him to be a cult leader due to claiming to be God. He made numerous contributions towards his followers' economic independence and racial equality. He was fucking weird, right? I would actually like one day to do a separate episode on Father Divine.
This
Alright.
is just going to be the, I guess, an overview.
Yeah, and Joe, he basically had, he had the harem. He had the people fanning him with palm fronds and washing his feet, and you know.
He took it a step.
He became a god king on his compound, and Jones kind of went on. He took Jones under his wing. Jones went there a lot. It says here just he made a visit, but he went to several. He actually became friends with them and kind of took notes. Jones, though, to his followers, was careful to explain that his visit to the Father Divine was so that he could give an authentic, unbiased, and objective statement about his activities to us. He basically, I was just going to inform on him. But what really he was doing was he wanted to learn how to control his followers a little bit.
It's almost like from the outside, people are like, you see what he does to his followers, right?
Yeah. He wanted a little bit of that. Divine served as another important influence on the development of Jones's ministry. While publicly disavowing many of Father Divine's teachings, he actually began to promote Divine's teachings on communal living and gradually implemented many of the outreach practices he witnessed at the Peace Mission, including setting up a soup kitchen and providing free groceries and clothing to people in need. He made a second visit in 1958 to learn more. Jones bragged to his congregation that he would like to be the successor of Father Divine, and made many comparisons between the two ministries. You see that flip-flop there, right?
Yeah.
You saw how quick it was, no, but I like this, and now it's, I'm going to be the next one. I'm the next Father Divine. He began progressively implementing the disciplinary practices he learned from Father Divine, which increasingly took control over the lives of the members of the People's Temple. So, the way the People's Temple would work is at the time they didn't have social welfare programs like we do now. Yeah. There was no food stamps. There was no Section 8 housing, shit like that. There was no assistance from the government. Yeah. And for poor black people, it was even worse. He would fight. He would take these members of his church, and they would go to restaurants that were, whites only. And he would make a deal with the restaurant owners, like, look, if we come during your, non-busy hours, and I fill every seat in here, but there'll be black people, and they would do it. and it would slowly start to break. It slowly started to break down the segregation.
Yeah.
Because he would take people in jail, and their family members couldn't bail them out. He'd bail them out. He took family members who were addicted to drugs, and he would get them off drugs and whatnot. He did a lot of good. He had a free restaurant. You could just go and eat and leave. You could go get groceries. The church yard had a huge garden. You could just go get some greens and tomatoes and shit out of the garden.
That's something that is not prevalent today, which is a very helpful thing.
Yeah,
is a community garden.
Yeah, he started
a freaking amazing thing.
A lot of his members were elderly people who had no assistance, and they couldn't afford a senior living center. Yeah. So he built one.
Oh wow!
He built one, put Marceline in charge of it, and people say that this was also he could get their Social Security, and this is how socialism works. They would sign over all their possessions and everything over to the People's Temple. In return, the People's Temple made sure they had everything they needed.
Yeah.
They were doing by far better than they were before.
Yeah.
And this is the stage of where I call him Reverend Jones, right?
Reverend what?
Reverend Jones.
Yeah, this is the Jim Jones I like. This is the Jim Jones that I absolutely support. I admire him. I actually really like listening to him talk about these things. It's such a shame, that things went the way they did, because he would have been a civil rights hero that we talk about alongside Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
He did so much for, the poor black community in Indianapolis. And when he moved later to San Francisco and whatnot, and Redwood Valley.
Developing things and developing the programs.
Unlike most of these cult leaders and preachers, unlike Father Divine. Well, Father Divine did some of it. But, he did more for his people than anything. Which is part of the reason everybody was so loyal to them. They literally owed him their lives. Yeah. He became their life. Everything is invested in it. They had nowhere else to go. And they didn't need to, because they actually felt like they had a family, right? Yeah. They felt cared for. And with his communal living and his socialist ideas and whatnot, he actually was doing really well. Yeah. It was a true paradise while it lasted.
If this switch didn't happen.
So, as Jones separated from Pentecostalism and latter rain movement, he sought an organization that would be open to all of his beliefs. In 1960, the People's Temple joined the Disciples of Christ denomination. They assured him that the organization would tolerate his political beliefs, and he was finally ordained by the Disciples of Christ in 1964. He was ordained as a disciples minister at a time when the requirements for ordination varied greatly, and disciples membership was open to any church. In 1974 and 1977, the disciples' leadership received allegation of abuse at the People's Temple. They conducted investigations at the time but found no evidence of wrongdoing. Disciples of Christ found People's Temple to be an exemplary Christian ministry, overcoming human differences and dedicated to human services. People's Temple contributed to $1.1 million, which would be the equivalent of $4 million in 2020 money, to the denomination between 1966 and 1977. Wow. Jones and the People's Temple remained part of the disciples until the Jonestown massacre. In 1960, Indianapolis Mayor Charles Boswell appointed Jones the director of the local Human Rights Commission. Jones ignored Boswell's advice to keep a low profile and used the position to secure new outlets for his views on local radio and television programs. The mayor and other commissioners asked him to curtail his public actions, but he refused. He was wildly cheered at a meeting of the NAACP and the Urban League when he encouraged his audience to be more militant, capping his speech with "Let my people go." During his time as a commission's director, Jones helped to racially integrate churches, restaurant, the telephone company, the Indianapolis Police Department, a theater and amusement park, and the Indiana University Methodist Hospital. When swastikas were painted on the homes of 2 black families, Jones walked through the neighborhood, comforting the local black community and counseled the white families not to move. He set up sting operations to catch restaurants which refused to serve black customers, and wrote to American Nazi Party leaders and passed their responses to the media. In 1961, he suffered a collapse and was hospitalized. The hospital accidentally placed Jones in his black ward, and he refused to be moved. He began to make the beds and empty the bedpans of black patients. Political pressures which resulted from Jones's actions caused hospital officials to desegregate the wards. In Indiana, he was criticized for integrationist views, and the People's Temple became a target of white supremacists. Among several incidents, a swastika was placed on the temple, a stick of dynamite left in the temple coal pile, and dead cat was thrown at Jones's house after a threatening phone call. Nevertheless, the publicity which was generated by Jones attracted larger congregation. By the end of 1961, Indianapolis was a far more racially integrated city, and Jim Jones was almost entirely responsible.
Yeah, like however loud he could be, and you would think that people would be like, "Oh no, I don't want to be part of that." You're like, "I'll support that."
Yeah,
I'll support that.
Yeah, I mean, he did nothing wrong in this during this, right? This to me is great. All these things. This is a whole list of awesome shit that Jim Jones did.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Which kind of goes to the deeper conversation as to are people truly good or evil, right? Can anybody truly be all good or all evil?
Yeah.
Chaotic. Definitely.
Which he definitely was so in chaos.
Yeah. And another thing that he was the first person in Indiana to do, he was the first, him and Marceline were the first couple in Indiana to adopt a non-white child. Mm-hmm. Like, this was unheard of at the time. Jones and his wife adopted several non-white children. Jones referred to his household as a rainbow family and stated, "Integration is more personal thing with me now. It's a question of my son's future." He also portrayed the temple as a rainbow family. In 1954, the Joneses adopted their first child, Agnes, who was part Native American. In 1959, they adopted 3 Korean children named Lou, Stephanie, and Suzanne, and encouraged temple members to adopt orphans from war-ravaged Korea. Stephanie, one of the 3, died age 5 in 1959 in a car accident.
Oh.
In June 1959, and that's actually, so what happened was, Jim and Marceline, they adopted Stephanie first by herself, and she would talk about her mom and her sisters and whatnot that were still over in Korea. Well, when she died, they adopted the other 2,
the sisters,
and brought them from Korea. Kind of her last wishes type thing, kind of, and their only biological child they named after Stephanie. They named him Stefan Gandhi Jones.
Oh.
But that was their only biological child. They became the first white couple in Indiana to adopt a black child, naming him Jim Jones Jr., or James W. Jones Jr. Jimmy W.
No, just give up.
They adopted a white son, originally named Timothy Glenn, shortened to Tim, whose birth member was a member of the temple. Jones fathered Jim John Chemo with temple member Carolyn Layton. That's a whole nother story later on. That actually is kind of that child is kind of what brings it all down.
Alrighty.
There's a whole little side quest.
Yeah, so during all this time, Jones is like kind of gathering more and more control over his followers. And, wow, this is actually a longer episode than the last one. So we'll leave it right here. All right? Because this is pretty much the end of the list of cool things Jim Jones has done.
This is when we're going to start talking about Father.
This is now we're going to start seeing Father Jones, right?
Awesome.
So let's all right. We'll do a little recap. How do you feel? Well, Storm is so bored she's dying.
She's laying on the bed.
Storm didn't sleep last night.
That was stupid of you.
I can't help it.
Storm's problem, not mine.
Now's yours.
How is it mine? First off, this water is caffeinated.
It's not
So-
caffeinated.
What water's
enough.
caffeinated?
The one we'der I've been drinking.
Yeah.
Where's my caffeinated water?
You didn't ask for caffeinated.
I didn't know it was an option.
The Mios I got. One of the Mios is caffeinated.
Oh.
Yeah.
Here I am all uncaffeinated, unloved.
Well, wearing my shorts.
Yeah, well, you were wearing mine. Those blue ones.
Well then. Any hoodles. So recap.
Yeah, Storm, how do you feel about Jim Jones at this particular time?
He's gotten smarter with his tactics, kind of. Like, he's more organized than he was before, if that makes any sense at all.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not very good with words.
He's gathering intel on how to act. It's like
Like, he's figured out how to do it, and now
it's
he's
the
just perfecting
autism
it.
affecting him, trying to figure
He's got
out.
the tisms.
He's got the tisms, if you would. Which,
It's possible, yeah. He might be a little bit on the spectrum. Yeah.
if he, I mean, as square as he is, where
He is so square. The only square person in history was John List.
But it's him gathering all of the intel, and then all these visits to Father Divine,
Yeah.
being like,
Major Jealous Divine.
Jesus Christ. He's like, how many words can I add to my name before it's wrong?
that is the fact that was his birth name. Yes.
No.
What is his birth name?
God.
Who is
No,
he?
God is what he actually became later.
What was his birth name? I don't have my glasses on. My eyes are hurting.
Alright. Little is known about Father Divine's early life or even his real name. Father Divine, he was the son of slaves.
Okay.
He was born in 1876.
actions.
He refused to acknowledge his relationship with any family. Newspapers in the 30s had to dig up his probable given name, George Baker. The name is not recognized by the Library of Congress, and there's no further use of that name in this thing. The FBI recorded his name as George Baker, alias God. 1936, a woman came forward claiming to be his mother. She stated that his real name was Frederick Edwards from Hendersonville, North Carolina, had abandoned a wife and 5 children, but offered no proof and claimed not to remember his father's name. Father Divine replied, God has no mother.
Well then.
Alrighty.
So, well, with his given name, no one knew it, but just him being called Major Jealous.
Major jealous. Well, the jealous comes from God being a jealous God.
A jealous God, yeah. But just like in both aspects, I'm like, wow. I can't.
Now then you look at him here. He looks like Candyman.
Yeah, he
oh my
does.
God, he does.
He looks like he could be.
I came for you.
No, sir. Go away.
With my hook for a hand, I'll split you from your groin to your gullet.
This sounds
Well,
like
then.
Twisted Captain Hook now.
What is blood for if not for shedding?
So, anyways.
Anyways.
There's that.
Little tidbit.
Yeah, he's learning from Father Divine.
But he's done, like you had just said, literally just said, he's done so much good. That he's being so progressive.
Yeah, at this point in time, if Jim Jones had just continued along this path, which he had the capability to do it, he just continued with this, he'd be celebrated. There'd be a Jim Jones Day.
If not, it would be...
Like, what day of the year would we designate?
Not necessarily
Probably a birthday.
Not necessarily.
We can start celebrating it.
Oh my god.
May 13th.
I wouldn't think it would be a day. I think it would be
Jones Day. Everybody drinks Flavor Aid. Huh? I can get behind
It's
this.
called Kool-Aid, first of all.
No.
What?
It was
Flavor
Flavor Aid.
Aid.
Is there a difference?
Yes.
Yes.
What
A
is
few
the
pennies per pouch. And overall quality. He had plenty of money, but
Flavor Aid and Kool-Aid.
he even cheaped them out of Kool-Aid and made sure they had Flavor Aid. It's like Kirkland brand of Kool-Aid.
Can't even poison us with the
I mean,
good
Kirkland
Kool-Aid.
brand makes Starbucks. So, people that don't know, don't buy the Starbucks at Costco. Get Kirkland. It's the same thing. More you know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yep, so tune in next time. I think we're going to take a break.
Probably.
Yep. And we can finish up tomorrow.
Yeah, sure.
Or we can finish up in a couple hours.
I don't decide here. I'm just here.
Oh my god.
I'm indecisive. You know these things.
Yeah, she is a Libra. So.
That has nothing to do with it.
Scales.
Her mother is indecisive.
Scales.
I am indecisive.
You're stubborn.
I'm also
When I make my
stubborn.
mind up, yes. Because it took me...
That's how it works.
It took me
takes
so
you
much
so long to
effort.
decide what you want to do, and then once you decide it, you do that or nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
how it works.
That is how life is.
Welcome to our brains.
Hi, stream of consciousness. I love it. Come back in 2 hours.
Alrighty. Thank you for making it soon.
You're welcome.
We needed help.
You
Ow, I
need,
hit my foot.
you
Yeah.
need an adult. You're the
Alrighty.
worst adult in this
An adult here.
situation.
Well, until next time, folks, this has been Richard,
Storm.
And Jessica
Charlie,
Manson's Fanny Pack.
all right.